Welcome back, my beautiful family. It's good to be back. I've missed all of you so much. We passed the 50,000 mark. Let's get to 100K before middle of the year, so please, like, share, subscribe, and comment. I'm here with you. So, let's begin. The air conditioning wasn't working. That's what Ryan noticed first. Not the woman sitting 3 rows behind the plaintiff's table. Not the small boy in the blue sweater beside her. Just the heat. The kind that made your shirt stick to the leather chair and your temples bead with sweat you didn't want anyone to see. He loosened his tie and checked his watch. 11:17. This hearing should have been over by now. Child support disputes usually were. Sign the papers. Agree to terms. Move on. But his lawyer kept frowning at her phone, and the clerk kept glancing toward the judge's chambers like something had gone wrong. Ryan didn't do courtrooms. Not like this. He did boardrooms. Conference halls, airport lounges where people knew his name before he said it. He built things, software that ran payroll systems for half the Fortune 500. His calendar was booked 6 months out, and yet here he sat, waiting for a woman he barely remembered to finish a legal tantrum over a relationship that ended 5 years ago. Or so he thought. The side door opened. Judge Calloway stepped in, black robe sweeping behind her like she'd walked through this room 1,000 times and had long stopped caring about ceremony. She was older, gray hair pulled tight, reading glasses on a chain. She sat down, adjusted the microphone, and didn't look at anyone. Case number 47B, petitioner Kiera Hollis versus respondent Ryan Gaines. Petition for emergency child support and medical cost reimbursement. Ryan's lawyer stood, smooth, practiced, the kind of confidence you paid $300 an hour for. Your Honor, my client disputes the basis of this claim. Ms. Hollis has provided no documentation proving. Sit down, Mr. Vance. The lawyer blinked. Sat. Judge Calloway looked over her glasses, not at the lawyer, but at Ryan. And for the first time since he walked into this building, Ryan felt something shift. Something he couldn't name yet. Something cold. Mr. Gaines, do you know why you're here today? Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Hollis claims I owe her money for... Do you know Kiera Hollis? Ryan paused. He glanced back, finally looking at the woman. Brown hair, tired eyes, a face he'd seen once, maybe twice, in dim lighting and bad decisions. A conference in Miami, a bar after hours, a room he didn't remember leaving. We knew each other, briefly, 5 years ago. Briefly. The judge repeated the word like she was tasting it. And in that brief time, did you have a relationship? Ryan's jaw tightened. One night. It wasn't a relationship. One night, the judge said. She opened a folder, pulled out a single sheet of paper, held it up like evidence in a murder trial. One night that resulted in a child. The room tilted. Ryan heard his lawyer say something, heard chairs scrape, heard his own breath catch somewhere between his lungs and his throat. But all he could see was that paper, and the boy in the blue sweater, sitting very still, holding a teddy bear that looked like it had been held too many times. Your Honor, his lawyer tried again. There's been no paternity established. Miss Hollis has made claims before. She's made no claims before. The judge's voice was sharp now. Final. This is the first time she's ever filed. And she didn't file for support. She filed for medical reimbursement, because your client's son is sick. Ryan stood. He didn't mean to. His body just moved. I don't have a son. Kiera spoke then. Her voice was quiet, steady. The kind of steady that came from practice, from holding yourself together in rooms that wanted to break you. Yes, you do. Ryan turned, looked at her, really looked. And for a second, just a second, he saw it. The exhaustion, the fear, the nights she must have spent alone, wondering if she should have said something sooner, wondering if silence was protection or cowardice. You never told me. You never stayed. Her hands were shaking, but her voice wasn't. You left before breakfast. Didn't leave a number, didn't ask for mine. I looked you up 3 months later when I found out. You were engaged, pictures all over your company's website. You and her at some gala, smiling like the world was yours. That doesn't give you the right to... I'm not here for rights, Kiera said, and now her voice cracked, just a little. Just enough. I'm here because Ethan is sick, and I can't pay for it alone anymore. The boy, Ethan. He looked up when he heard his name. Big eyes. Too big for his face, too aware of the room, the tension, the way grown-ups talked around him like he wasn't real. Ryan stared at him, at the shape of his nose, the way his fingers curled around the teddy bear's ear, the way he sat very still, like he'd been taught not to take up too much space. How sick? Ryan heard himself ask. Kiera reached into her bag, pulled out a file, walked it to the clerk, who walked it to the judge. Judge Calloway opened it. Read. Her face didn't change, but something behind her eyes did. Leukemia, the judge said. Acute lymphoblastic. Diagnosed 8 months ago. Currently in remission, but the treatment costs are... She trailed off. Looked at Ryan. Substantial. Ryan sat down. Not because his lawyer told him to. Not because the room was spinning. But because his legs forgot how to hold him. I didn't know, he said. You do now, the judge replied. For a long moment, no one spoke. The air conditioner hummed. A phone buzzed somewhere in the back. Ethan coughed, small and dry, and Kiera's hand moved to his shoulder without her even looking. Ryan's lawyer leaned over, whispered, We need to contest this. Paternity hasn't been proven. She could be lying. She's not lying. Ryan didn't know why he said it. Didn't know why he was so sure. But he was. Judge Calloway folded her hands on the desk. Mr. Gaines, Miss Hollis is requesting a court-ordered paternity test. If you are the father, she's asking for 50% reimbursement on medical expenses already incurred and ongoing support for treatment. If you're not, this case is dismissed. Either way, we need to know. Ryan looked at Kiera. She didn't look back, just stared straight ahead, holding her son's hand like it was the only thing keeping her from falling apart. Your Honor, I need time to... Time. Kiera stood now, and for the first time Ryan heard anger. Real anger. The kind that had been buried under years of silence and single shifts in hospital waiting rooms. You need time. I've had 5 years. 5 years of doing this alone, of explaining to teachers why his dad's not at the school plays, of lying to him when he asks, why everyone else has 2 parents, of sitting in that hospital room wondering if I made the right choice keeping you out of his life. You don't get to ask for time. The judge raised a hand. Miss Hollis, no. Kiera's voice broke now. Fully. He doesn't get to sit there in his suit and his watch and pretend this is an inconvenience. My son is sick, and his father didn't even know he existed. Ethan tugged her sleeve. Mama. She looked down, softened, sat back down, pulled him close. Ryan stared at his hands, at the ring he used to wear, at the tan line still there, even though the engagement ended 2 years ago, at the life he thought he had control over, unraveling in a room that smelled like old carpet and stale air. Judge Calloway picked up her gavel, held it, didn't strike yet. Mr. Gaines. Her voice was quieter now, almost gentle. This isn't about blame. This is about a child who needs medical care, a child who, if the test confirms it, is yours. So I'm going to ask you directly, and I want you to think very carefully before you answer. She paused. The room held its breath. Do you want a paternity test? Ryan looked at Ethan, at the way he leaned into his mother, at the bear, at the tired blue sweater, at the boy who might be his son, who might have his eyes, his hands, his entire future, rewritten in a single answer. He opened his mouth. The gavel hit. We'll reconvene in 2 weeks, the judge said. Paternity results will be submitted by then. Court adjourned, and just like that, it was over. Except it wasn't over. It was just beginning. Ryan sat frozen as people stood, as his lawyer packed her briefcase, as Kiera lifted Ethan into her arms and carried him toward the door. The boy looked back once, just once, met Ryan's eyes. And Ryan felt it, the weight of 5 years, of silence, of a child growing up without him, of a woman who loved someone enough to let him go, of a courtroom that wasn't supposed to be where love began, but maybe it was where truth did. The sonogram was... The sonogram was still in the glove compartment. Kiera knew because she'd checked 3 times this morning before driving to the courthouse. Not because she needed it, not because anyone asked, but because some things you kept close even when they hurt to hold. 5 years ago, she'd stood in a clinic bathroom staring at 2 pink lines trying to remember his last name. Ryan something. Tech guy. Expensive watch. The kind of smile that made you forget he'd be gone by morning. She thought about calling the hotel, thought about tracking down the conference list, thought about a lot of things while sitting on that cold tile floor, phone in hand, realizing she didn't even have a number to dial. 3 months later, she found him. Not hard when your one-night stand ran a company with his face on the homepage. Ryan Gaines, CEO, engaged to someone who looked like she'd never waited tables or worn scrubs past midnight. Someone whose ring probably cost more than Kiera made in a year. She'd hovered over the contact form on his website for an hour, typed and deleted, typed again, finally closed the browser and decided that some truths were kinder kept quiet. Her apartment still smelled like the vanilla candles she'd burned the night before court, trying to calm down, trying to convince herself she was doing the right thing. Ethan was asleep now, finally, after asking for the third time why they had to see the judge, why that man kept staring, why Mama's hands shook when she signed the papers. Because grown-ups have to fix things sometimes, she'd told him. Not a lie, not quite the truth either. Her phone buzzed. A text from Rachel, her friend from the hospital, the one who'd covered her shifts when the chemo appointments ran long, the one who'd sat with her in the waiting room during the first biopsy, holding her hand while they waited for results that would rewrite everything. How'd it go? Kiera stared at the screen. Didn't know how to answer. How did you summarize a moment like that? The look on Ryan's face when the judge said the word son, the way his lawyer had whispered like she wasn't supposed to hear, the way Ethan had gripped her hand so tight his fingernails left little half-moons on her palm. Paternity test ordered. Results in 2 weeks. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. He show up? Yeah. And? Kiera set the phone down. Walked to the window. Outside the street was quiet. A dog barked somewhere. A car alarm went off and stopped. Normal sounds. Normal night. Nothing felt normal. She'd kept the secret so long it had become part of her, woven into how she introduced herself, how she explained her life, how she answered Ethan's questions about his father. Dead, she'd almost said once. Easier than the truth. Kinder than admitting she'd chosen silence over disruption. That she'd looked at Ryan's life, his fiancé, his clean world, and decided her son didn't fit there. But that was before the diagnosis, before the bills started coming, before she realized that love wasn't enough to pay for the kind of medicine that kept your child breathing. Don't just watch, talk to us. Has silence ever felt safer than the truth? Drop your story in the comments. The memory came back in pieces. Always did. The conference in Miami. Medical Technology Summit. She'd been working the hotel bar, picking up extra shifts to cover her mother's hospice care. He'd sat down around 11, ordered whiskey, neat, didn't look at his phone, didn't check his watch, just sat there like he was trying to remember how to be still. They'd talked, about what, she couldn't remember now. Something about the ocean, about how Miami felt like a place people came to forget things. He'd laughed at that, said he was there to sell something nobody needed but everyone wanted. She'd asked what that was. He'd leaned in, smiled, said, "Hope. Stupid. Poetic. The kind of line that works at midnight when you're both a little drunk and a lot lonely." She'd known it was a bad idea. Known it even as she clocked out early, even as they walked to his room, even as he kissed her in the elevator like they weren't strangers. Bad ideas had a way of feeling right in the moment. That's what made them dangerous. Morning came cold. She woke up to an empty bed and a note on hotel stationery, had an early flight. Last night was... The sentence trailed off. Unfinished. Like he couldn't find the word. Like maybe there wasn't one. She'd left before housekeeping came. Took the bus home. Showered. Went to her afternoon shift at the hospital. Filed the whole thing under mistakes you don't repeat. Except her body had other plans. The pregnancy was easy. The delivery was not. 36 hours of labor, emergency C-section, complications that kept her in the hospital for a week. Her mother had died 2 months earlier. No father in the picture. No siblings. Just her and a baby who looked up at her with eyes that weren't quite hers, and she'd known whose they were, known what she'd have to carry alone. Ethan cried out in his sleep. Kiera moved fast, muscle memory from 5 years of midnight wake-ups. She sat on the edge of his bed, hand on his forehead. Still warm. Always a little warm now, even when the fevers broke. The cancer did that. Changed his baseline. Made normal feel like worry. Mama. His voice was small. Scraped. I'm here. Is the man coming back? What man, baby? The one from the big room, with the tie. Kiera's throat closed. I don't know. He looked sad. Yeah, she smoothed his hair. He did. Was it because of me? No. Fast, firm, never because of you. Ethan closed his eyes. Drifted. She stayed until his breathing evened out, then walked back to the kitchen. Her phone was lit up now. 3 missed calls from Rachel. 1 voicemail. Kiera, call me back. I need to tell you something. She dialed. Rachel picked up on the first ring. Tell me you didn't go through with it, Rachel said. No hello, no warm-up. I had to. No, you didn't. You could have kept it quiet. Could have figured out the bills some other way. What other way? Kiera's voice rose and she caught herself. Lowered it. Ethan was sleeping. I'm drowning, Rach. I've got collection agencies calling at work. I've got a second job I can barely keep because I miss shifts for appointments. I've got a son who needs treatment I can't afford. What was I supposed to do? Silence on the other end. Then, quieter, I'm scared for you. Why? Because men like that don't just write checks and disappear. They have lawyers, resources. You opened a door you might not be able to close. I didn't have a choice. There's always a choice. Rachel's voice cracked. And I'm worried you chose the one that lets him in. Because if he finds out he's the father, Kiera, if he decides he wants custody. The sentence hung there, unfinished, like Ryan's note, like every conversation that mattered. He won't, Kiera said. But she didn't believe it. Couldn't. Not after seeing his face in that courtroom. Not after the way he'd looked at Ethan like he was trying to solve an equation. Not after the way his lawyer had whispered and taken notes and looked at her like she was something to be managed. You don't know that. I know he didn't want to be a father 5 years ago. 5 years ago, he didn't know. Rachel's words came slow now. Careful. Now he does. And rich men don't like surprises. They especially don't like feeling like something was kept from them, even if you had good reasons. Even if you were protecting everyone. Kiera sank into the kitchen chair, stared at the pile of medical bills on the table, the red-stamped envelopes, the payment plans she couldn't keep up with, the hospital charity applications she'd filled out 3 times, the spreadsheet she'd made tracking every dollar, every deadline, every impossible choice. What if I made a mistake? She whispered. Then we deal with it, Rachel said. But Kiera, you need to prepare yourself. Because if he finds out he's Ethan's father, he might not just want to pay. He might want access, and once you give him that, you can't take it back. The call ended. The apartment was quiet again. Kiera sat in the dark, watching headlights slide across the ceiling, thinking about all the ways silence could be safety. All the ways it could be cowardice, too. Her phone buzzed one more time. Unknown number. This is Ryan Gaines. We need to talk. Before the test results come back. She stared at the message, at the cursor blinking, at the empty space where her response should go. Outside, the dog barked again. Someone laughed. The world kept moving. She typed 3 words, not without lawyers, then turned off her phone and sat in the dark, wondering if she'd just protected her son or lost him. The courthouse steps were wet. Rain from last night still pooled in the cracks. Kiera watched people walk past, briefcases and umbrellas, lives that didn't include 14-hour shifts and medical debt that compounded faster than she could breathe. She'd left Ethan with Rachel for this hearing. Easier that way. He didn't need to see this part. Her lawyer was late. Public defender, assigned because she couldn't afford the kind Ryan had. The kind who showed up early with leather portfolios and ties that cost more than her rent. She checked her phone. Nothing, just the background photo of Ethan at the beach last summer, before everything changed, before the bruises that wouldn't heal, before the word that split her life into before and after. Miss Hollis? She turned. A woman in her 40s, gray suit, hair pulled back tight, carrying a worn canvas bag that had seen better days. I'm Sandra Park, your attorney. They shook hands. Sandra's grip was firm, tired. The grip of someone who'd fought too many losing battles and showed up anyway. Have you reviewed my case? Kiera asked. I have. Sandra pulled out a folder. Medical bills totaling $147,000. Your income puts you at $32,000 annually, including the weekend shifts. You've applied for assistance programs, been denied or placed on waiting lists. You've used credit cards, taken loans from friends, sold most of what you owned. She looked up. You've done everything right. It's still not enough. That's why I'm here. I know. Sandra's face softened. But I need you to understand something. Ryan Gaines is not going to just write a check. His lawyer already filed preliminary motions. They're going to argue that you waited too long, that you withheld information about Ethan's existence, that your sudden request for support is suspicious timing. Kiera's hands started shaking. She shoved them in her pockets. I didn't ask until I had to. I believe you. The judge might believe you. But his team is going to paint a picture. And in that picture, you're not a struggling single mother. You're an opportunist who kept a man from his child and now wants money. That's not... I know it's not true. Sandra's voice was sharp now. Focused. But truth and perception are different things in court. So we're going to be ready. We're going to have every document, every bill, every shift record, every denial letter. We're going to show them what your life actually looks like. Not the version they want to create. They walked inside. Through security. Up the elevator. Down the hall that smelled like floor cleaner and old paper. The courtroom was different this time. Bigger. More people. Ryan was already there, sitting with his lawyer and two other people Kiera didn't recognize. Probably experts. Character witnesses. Whatever rich people brought to prove they were right. He didn't look at her. Just stared straight ahead, jaw tight, wearing a different suit but the same expression. Like this was a problem to be solved. A complication to be managed. Judge Calloway entered. Everyone stood. Sat. The ritual of it all felt hollow. Like they were pretending this was about law, when it was really about a little boy who drew pictures of a father he'd never met. Before we begin, the judge said, I want to clarify the purpose of today's hearing. We're not here to determine custody. We're here to establish temporary financial support pending paternity results. Is that clear? Both lawyers nodded. Ms. Hollis, I've reviewed your financial disclosure. You're requesting $50,000 in immediate reimbursement for medical expenses plus $5,000 monthly in child support. Kiera nodded, tried to keep her voice steady. Yes, Your Honor. And Mr. Gaines, your position? Ryan's lawyer stood. Smooth. Practiced. Your Honor, my client disputes any obligation until paternity is confirmed. We also question the timing of this request. Ms. Hollis never contacted Mr. Gaines about the child's existence until she needed money. That pattern is concerning. Concerning to whom? Judge Calloway's voice was dry. To my client, who may have been deliberately excluded from his child's life. Or, Sandra said, standing now, my client made the difficult choice to raise her son alone rather than disrupt a stranger's life. Mr. Gaines was engaged when she discovered her pregnancy. He'd made it clear their encounter was one night, nothing more. She honored that boundary. By hiding a child, Ryan's lawyer shot back. By protecting one, the judge held up a hand. Enough. Miss Hollis, I need you to explain in your own words why you're here now. Kiera stood. Her legs felt weak. Her hands were still shaking, but she couldn't hide them anymore. She looked at the judge. Only the judge. If she looked at Ryan, she'd lose her nerve. I'm here because my son is sick, and I can't save him alone anymore. The words came out smaller than she meant. Quieter. But they were true. That's all she had. Go on. I work 60 hours a week, sometimes more. I've cut every expense. I don't eat out. Don't go anywhere. I've sold my car, my mother's jewelry, furniture we didn't need. I've borrowed from friends who can't afford to lend. I've applied for every program, every grant, every charity fund. Most say no. The ones that say yes offer $500 when I need $5,000. The hospital has been kind, but even they have limits. And my son, her voice cracked. She steadied it. My son needs treatment I can't give him. Not alone. Not anymore. The courtroom was silent. Someone coughed. A phone buzzed and was quickly silenced. Judge Calloway wrote something. Mr. Gaines, do you have a response? Ryan stood, slowly, like he was still deciding what to say. I didn't know, he said finally. I didn't know he existed, and He stopped. Started again. I need to know he's mine before I can take responsibility. That's fair, the judge said, but Miss Hollis is asking for interim support. The paternity test will be complete in 10 days. Until then, this child still needs care. With respect, Your Honor, Ryan's lawyer interjected, We cannot commit my client to financial obligation based solely on allegations. They're not allegations, Sandra said. They're medical records, bill statements, a child's date of birth that corresponds exactly with the timeline Miss Hollis has provided. If Mr. Gaines is concerned about fraud, we welcome the paternity test. But in the meantime, that child is in treatment, and someone needs to pay for it. Judge Calloway looked at Ryan. Mr. Gaines, I'm not ordering you to acknowledge paternity. I'm asking if you're willing to provide temporary support while we wait for the results. If the test proves you're not the father, Miss Hollis will be required to reimburse you. If it proves you are, we'll proceed with formal support arrangements. But for the next 10 days, that child needs medication, physical therapy, monitoring. Are you willing to cover those costs? Ryan looked at his lawyer. They whispered. Kiera couldn't hear what they said, but she saw the lawyer shake his head. Saw Ryan's jaw tighten. Saw him say something back that made the lawyer pause. Yes, Ryan said finally. I'll cover the immediate costs, on the condition that if I'm not the father, she repays every cent. Agreed, the judge said. Miss Hollis? Kiera nodded. She didn't trust her voice. Then we're adjourned until… Your Honor, Ryan's lawyer stood again. My client has one additional request. Kiera's stomach dropped. If Mr. Gaines is providing financial support, we'd like to request visitation. Supervised if necessary. But if this child is potentially his son, he should have the opportunity to meet him, to understand what he's supporting. No. Kiera said it too fast, too loud. No, you can't. Miss Hollis, the judge said, I haven't made a ruling. He doesn't know Ryan exists. I haven't told him. You can't just… This isn't about money anymore. This is about my son's stability, his emotional well-being. He's sick. He's scared. You can't drop a stranger into his life and call him father just because a test might say so. We're not asking to be called father, Ryan's lawyer said. We're asking for one meeting, 1 hour, in a neutral location, just to meet the child. Why? Kiera's voice broke. So you can decide if he's worth your money. Miss Hollis, Judge Calloway warned. But Kiera couldn't stop. You want to see him? Fine, but don't pretend this is about connection. This is about control, about making sure I know you can take him if you want, that you have lawyers and money and the kind of power I'll never have. That's what this is really about. The judge's gavel hit. Once. Sharp. Miss Hollis, sit down. Kiera sat. Her heart was racing. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. Judge Calloway looked at both lawyers. I'm granting supervised visitation. 1 meeting, 2 hours, in a neutral location with a court-appointed supervisor present. This is not a custody evaluation. This is an opportunity for Mr. Gaines to meet the child he may be supporting. Arrangements will be made through your attorneys. We'll reconvene when the paternity results are available. The gavel hit again. Court adjourned. Kiera sat frozen as people stood. As Ryan walked past without looking at her. As Sandra gathered her papers and said something about calling later. As the courtroom emptied and she was left alone with the sound of her own breathing and the knowledge that she'd just given a stranger permission to enter her son's life. Outside, Sandra caught up with her. That went better than I expected, she said. Better? Kiera stared at her. He's filing for visitation. Supervised visitation. For 2 hours with a professional present. It's not custody. It's not overnight visits. It's a meeting. And honestly, if you'd fought harder against it, you would have looked unreasonable. I don't care how I look. You should. Sandra's voice was firm now. Because this is just the beginning. Once that test comes back, if it confirms paternity, they're going to push for more. Unsupervised visits, weekends, eventually shared custody. So you need to start preparing. Not for the fight you're having, for the one that's coming. Kiera pulled out her phone. Looked at the photo of Ethan. Smiling. Healthy. Before, I thought I was protecting him, she whispered. You were… Sandra's hand touched her shoulder. Brief. Kind. But now you have to protect him differently. Because Ryan Gaines isn't going away, and neither is the question of whether he gets to be a father. Kiera walked to her car. Sat in the driver's seat. Didn't turn the key. Just stared at the steering wheel and thought about the picture in her glove compartment. The sonogram she'd kept for 5 years. The secret she'd carried like a stone. Her phone buzzed. A message from Ryan's lawyer. Visitation scheduled for Saturday, 10 a.m. Family Mediation Center on Broad Street. Please bring the child and any relevant medical information. She read it 3 times, then opened her messages to Rachel. He's meeting Ethan on Saturday. 3 dots. Then, oh God, yeah? What are you going to tell him? Kiera stared at the question, at the cursor blinking, at all the words she didn't have yet. Finally, she typed the truth, that sometimes the people who should have been there never knew to show up. She sent it, started the car, drove home to her son, who was drawing pictures in his notebook. Pictures of a man in a tie, pictures of a father he'd invented, pictures that would become real in 3 days. And Kiera didn't know which was worse, the silence she'd kept, or the truth she was about to tell. The envelope sat on Ryan's desk for 20 minutes before he opened it. White. Official. Return address, County Courthouse, Family Services Division. He knew what it said. Had known for 2 weeks. Ever since he swabbed the inside of his cheek in a sterile room while a technician in gloves made small talk about the weather. 99.9% probability of paternity. The words were clinical, mathematical, absolute. He read them 3 times, then set the paper down and stared out his office window at a city that looked the same as it had yesterday, even though everything had changed. He had a son, 5 years old, brown hair, named Ethan, who liked dinosaurs and asked questions about stars and drew pictures of fathers he'd never met. Ryan knew this because he'd gone to the supervised visit last Saturday. 2 hours in a beige room with toys nobody played with and a social worker who took notes every time someone spoke. Ethan had been scared at first, hidden behind his mother, clutched that same teddy bear from the courtroom. But kids were curious, resilient. After 20 minutes, he'd asked Ryan if he knew what a triceratops was. Ryan said yes. Ethan asked if he knew they had beaks instead of teeth. Ryan said he didn't. And just like that, the wall came down. They'd spent the rest of the visit talking about dinosaurs, about how big a T-Rex really was, about whether velociraptors could actually open doors like in the movies. Normal things, easy things. Things that had nothing to do with paternity tests or courtrooms or the fact that Ryan's entire identity had shifted in the time it took to read 9 words on a page. His phone rang. He ignored it. It rang again. He picked up. Have you seen it? His lawyer, Mark, always straight to the point. Yeah, and what? And now we need to discuss next steps. They're going to push for formal support arrangements, child support, medical expenses, possibly college funds. We need to get ahead of this. Ryan rubbed his eyes. He's my son. I know that. But you're also a CEO of a company with significant assets. We need to protect. I don't want to protect anything. Ryan's voice was flat, tired. I want to figure out how to be a father to a kid I didn't know existed. Silence on the other end. Then Ryan, I understand this is emotional, but we need to think practically. Ms. Hollis kept this child from you for 5 years. We can argue that entitles you to more than the standard custody arrangement. Why would I argue that? Because she made a unilateral decision to exclude you. That shows poor judgment. A court might see it as grounds for primary custody. Ryan stood, walked to the window, watched people move below like ants. Lives he'd never know, problems he'd never solve. I met him, Ryan said quietly. I know, that's in the report. He asked me if I was going to come back. Mark didn't respond. At the end of the visit, when the social worker said time was up, he looked at me and asked if I was going to come back, like he'd been abandoned before, like that was normal. Ryan, I'm not taking her to court for custody, Ryan said. She raised him, she kept him alive. She did everything alone while I was, building software, taking meetings? I don't get to walk in now and take him because I have money and lawyers. Then what do you want? Ryan didn't answer right away, because he didn't know. Wanted to know his son. Wanted to make up for 5 years of absence. Wanted to fix something that maybe couldn't be fixed. Wanted to go back to Miami and stay for breakfast. Wanted to have been someone different. Someone who asked for her number. Someone who didn't leave notes that trailed off mid-sentence. I want to do this right, he said finally. Right usually means different things to different people. Then I want to do it the way that doesn't hurt him. The call ended. Ryan stood there, phone in hand, looking at the skyline and thinking about all the things he'd built that mattered less than the one thing he hadn't known existed. His assistant knocked, poked her head in. "Your mother's online too. She says it's urgent." Ryan closed his eyes. Of course she'd heard. Money moved in circles and gossip moved faster. He picked up. "Hi, Mom. Is it true?" No hello, no preamble, just the question. "Yeah, a child, a son. And you didn't know?" "No. How was that possible?" "Because I left before morning, because I didn't get her number, because—" He stopped. "Because I made choices that seemed reasonable at the time and turned out not to be." His mother was quiet. Then, "What's his name?" "Ethan." "And he's sick?" "Was. He's in remission." "Oh, Ryan." Her voice softened. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know. Do you want to know him?" Ryan looked at the framed photo on his desk. Him and his father. 10 years old. Fishing trip. His dad's hand on his shoulder. The kind of photo that felt like proof you'd been loved. "Yeah," he said. "I do. Then you'll figure it out." His mother paused. "But Ryan, don't try to do it alone. That woman, Kiera, she's been doing this by herself for 5 years. Maybe it's time both of you had help." The call ended. Ryan sat back down, opened his laptop, started searching. Single parents, CO parenting, how to be a father to a child you didn't raise. The results were overwhelming. Forums and advice columns and psychologists and lawyers. Everyone had an opinion. No one had an answer. His phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. "This is Kiera. We need to talk. Without lawyers." He stared at it. At the words that felt like an opening. Or maybe a trap. Hard to tell the difference. He typed back. "When?" "Tonight, 7 p.m. The coffee shop on Elm. Just us." "Okay." He sent it. Then sat there, wondering what you said to someone who'd carried your child in silence. What apology could possibly cover 5 years? What conversation could bridge the gap between stranger and father? At 6:45, he left the office, drove across town to a neighborhood he'd never been to. Small houses, chain-link fences, cars that had seen better decades. He parked outside a coffee shop with chipped paint and a neon sign that flickered. She was already there, sitting in the back corner. No makeup, hair tied back, looking younger than she had in court. Tired, but younger. He sat down across from her. Neither of them spoke. Finally, Kiera said, "I don't know how to do this." "Neither. I thought I was protecting him. From disruption, from questions he wasn't ready for, from—" She stopped. "From rejection. I thought if you didn't know, you couldn't decide he wasn't worth the trouble." Ryan's throat tightened. "You thought I'd reject him? I didn't know you." Her voice was steady now. Firm. "You were a stranger who left before morning, who didn't ask for my number, who was engaged to someone who looked like she had her whole life together. I was a bartender working double shifts to pay for my dying mother's hospice care. What was I supposed to think? You were supposed to tell me." "Why?" She leaned forward. "So you could do what? Offer to pay for an abortion? Propose out of obligation? Write a check and disappear? I didn't want any of that. I wanted my son to be wanted. And I wasn't going to gamble on whether you were capable of that. So you decided for me." "Yes. No apology. No regret. Just fact. I did. Because someone had to. And you weren't there to help decide." Ryan wanted to be angry, wanted to feel righteous. But all he felt was tired. Tired and late. 5 years late. "I met him," Ryan said. "I know. He asked about dinosaurs." Kiera's lips twitched. Almost a smile. "He asks everyone about dinosaurs. He's smart." "He is. And he asked if I was coming back." Kiera looked down. "He does that. Why?" "Because people leave." Her voice cracked. His grandmother died when he was 3. His favorite nurse at the hospital transferred. His best friend moved away. He's learned that people don't stay, so he asks, every time. "Are you coming back?" Like he's collecting promises he can hold on to. Ryan felt something break inside his chest. Small. Sharp. The kind of break that didn't bleed but hurt anyway. "I told him yes," Ryan said. "Good." Kiera met his eyes. "Because if you're going to be in his life, you need to mean it. I'm not introducing him to a father who shows up when it's convenient and disappears when it's not. He's had enough loss. I won't let you be another one. I'm not going to disappear. Prove it. She pulled out a folder, pushed it across the table. Medical records, treatment schedule, dietary restrictions, things that trigger anxiety, songs that help him sleep. Everything you need to know if you're serious about this. Ryan opened the folder. Page after page of notes, hospital visits, medication logs, a drawing of a T, Rex labeled Ethan Hollis, age 5. He looked up. His last name is Hollis? Yes. Not Gaines? No. Kiera's voice was firm. He's been Ethan Hollis his whole life. That doesn't change because a test confirmed biology. I'm not asking it to. Ryan closed the folder. But I want to be part of his life. I want to. He stopped. I want to do this right. Then we figure it out. Together. She pulled out her phone. I made a schedule. Supervised visits twice a week to start. We can increase as he gets comfortable. No overnight visits until he asks for them. No surprises, no big gestures, just consistency. That's what he needs most. Ryan looked at the schedule. Tuesday and Thursday evenings, 2 hours each. Structured, safe, exactly what someone who'd been doing this alone would create. Okay, he said. Kiera stood, gathered her things, paused. Ryan, she looked at him, really looked, like she was trying to see past the suit and the office and the life he'd built without her. Thank you. For showing up at court, for not fighting me, for, her voice caught, for not making me beg. She left before he could respond. Ryan sat there, folder in hand, looking at drawings and medical notes and proof that he'd missed everything that mattered. His phone buzzed. Message from his lawyer. Judge wants to finalize support arrangements Friday at 2 p.m. Can you attend? Yeah. He drove home, walked into his apartment that suddenly felt too big, too quiet, too full of things that didn't matter. He opened the folder again, flipped through pages, stopped on a photo paper clip to the back. Ethan, maybe 3 years old, hospital gown, bald, too big smile, holding up a drawing of a superhero with a cape and a mask and the word Daddy written in shaky letters across the chest. Ryan's hand shook. He set the photo down, picked it up again, stared at it until his vision blurred and he had to look away. Friday came fast. The courtroom was emptier this time. Just the judge, the lawyers, Kiera, Ryan, and the stenographer clicking away in the corner. They went through the numbers. Child support, medical expenses, college fund. Ryan agreed to everything. Kiera asked for nothing beyond medical necessities. The judge signed papers, made it legal, made it real. They were leaving when Ryan heard footsteps behind him. He turned. Kiera stood there, phone in hand. He wants to meet you, she said. For real this time, not in a beige room with a social worker. At the park, this Sunday. He asked me this morning if you liked swings. Ryan felt something in his chest expand. I haven't been on a swing in 30 years. Well, Kiera almost smiled. Looks like you'll have to learn again. She walked away. Ryan stood there, watching her go, thinking about second chances and biology versus choice and all the ways love could begin in the spaces between what you planned and what you got. Sunday morning, he drove to the park, saw them before they saw him. Kiera on a bench, Ethan on the swings, pumping his legs, laughing. Ryan parked, walked over. Ethan saw him, stopped swinging, just looked. Ryan raised a hand, waved. Ethan climbed off the swing, walked over, slow, careful, stopped a few feet away. My mom says you're my dad. Ryan's throat closed. He nodded. For real? Yeah, for real. Ethan looked at him, long, serious. Then, can you push me? I can't go very high by myself. Ryan looked at Kiera. She nodded. They walked to the swings together. Ryan stood behind, pushed, gentle at first, then higher as Ethan laughed and kicked his feet and shouted more, like every kid who'd ever felt the world drop away for just a second. And Ryan thought about Miami, about the note he never finished, about the word he couldn't find, the one that described what that night was. He knew now. Beginning. That's what it had been. Not an ending. Not a mistake. But the first page of a story he didn't know he was writing. A story about a boy with brown hair and questions about stars. about a woman who loved him enough to carry him alone, about a man learning that fatherhood wasn't biology or timing or perfect choices. It was this: the weight of small hands on chains, laughter that sounded like forgiveness, the chance to show up and stay, even when you'd started 5 years late. Ethan jumped off mid-swing, landed hard, stumbled, fell. Kiera was moving before Ryan processed it, but he was closer. He ran, knelt. "You okay?" Ethan looked up. His knee was scraped, bleeding a little. His lip trembled. Then he looked at Ryan, really looked, and said the words that would change everything. "Sir, are you my dad?" Ryan's vision blurred. He nodded. Ethan's face crumpled. Then why did it take so long? And Ryan didn't have an answer. Couldn't give one that made sense. So he just pulled his son close and held him, while the boy cried for all the time they'd lost and all the years he'd drawn pictures of superheroes with capes and the word daddy in shaky letters. Behind them, Kiera turned away. Not because she didn't care, but because some moments belong to fathers and sons, even ones who were 5 years late. 3 weeks in, Ryan learned that fatherhood was mostly about small things, like knowing which juice boxes had the right sugar content, which dinosaur toy couldn't go to bed without backup, which songs worked on bad days and which made everything worse. Kiera had given him a list. Typed, detailed, the kind of document you built when you'd been doing this alone and couldn't afford mistakes. Today was his first unsupervised visit. 4 hours, no social worker, no beige room, just him and Ethan in the park 3 blocks from Ryan's apartment, the one with the good playground, the one where other fathers pushed swings and taught kids to catch and looked like they knew what they were doing. Ryan did not know what he was doing. Ethan bounced in the passenger seat. "Can we get ice cream?" "Your mom said 1 scoop. She always says 1 scoop. Then 1 scoop it is." Ethan grinned, already learning how to work the angles, already figuring out which parent said yes easier. Ryan made a mental note to text Kiera about unified rules. CO parenting, the articles called it, like it was a strategy you could master in 7 easy steps. They parked, walked to the playground. It was Saturday morning. Crowded, families everywhere. Fathers who looked comfortable, who didn't check their phones every 30 seconds to make sure they weren't missing something important, who belonged here in a way Ryan wasn't sure he ever would. "Push me." Ethan was already running to the swings. Ryan followed, pushed, watched his son laugh and kick his feet and shout higher, like gravity was a suggestion. Other kids played nearby. A girl on the monkey bars, twin boys throwing wood chips. Normal chaos, normal noise. Ryan's phone buzzed. Work email. He ignored it. Buzzed again. He glanced at it. Merger, deal. Time sensitive. He typed a quick response. Looked up. Ethan was gone. Panic hit fast. Ryan spun. Scanned. There, by the slide. Climbing up. Ryan exhaled. Put the phone away. Walked over. "Stay where I can see you," he called. "I can see you," Ethan shouted back. "That's not the same thing." Ethan slid down, landed hard, laughed, ran to the climbing structure. Ryan followed at a distance, close enough to catch him, far enough not to hover. The balanced parents somehow knew, but Ryan was still learning. A man approached, 30s, gym shoes, kid on his shoulders. "First time here?" he asked. "That obvious. You've got the look. We've all had it." He smiled. "Gets easier." "When?" "I'll let you know." The man walked away, kid laughing as he bounced. Ryan found a bench, sat, watched Ethan climb and jump and play with kids he just met like friendship was easy. Like trust wasn't something you had to earn. Must be nice, Ryan thought, being 5, not knowing yet how hard it was to let people in. "Dad, watch this." Ryan's chest tightened. Dad still sounded foreign, still felt like a word that belonged to someone else. But Ethan said it easy, natural, like Ryan had been there all along. Ethan hung from the monkey bars, swung, made it 3 bars, fell, got up, tried again. Ryan wanted to help, wanted to lift him, show him the technique. But some things you had to learn by falling. An hour passed. then 2. Ryan bought him a juice box from the snack cart. 1 scoop of ice cream from the truck that always parked nearby. They sat on the grass, and Ethan talked about dinosaurs, about which ones could swim, about how big their eggs were, about why they all died, and whether they'd come back. Do you think they miss being alive? Ethan asked. Ryan blinked. The dinosaurs? Yeah, I don't know, maybe. I think they do. Ethan stared at the sky. I think they miss running around and being strong and not being extinct. Ryan didn't know what to say to that. Didn't know if it was a kid question or something deeper. Didn't know if Ethan was talking about dinosaurs or about something else. About being sick. About missing the before. You're strong, Ryan said finally. Ethan looked at him. Am the first? Yeah, even though I was sick. Especially because you were sick. Ethan considered this. Then, were you scared? When you found out? Ryan's throat tightened. Yeah. I was. Me too. Ethan picked at the grass. I thought I was going to die. But you didn't. But I could have. Ryan didn't know what to say. Didn't know how to comfort a fear that was rational. That was real. So he just sat there, close enough to matter, quiet enough to let the words settle. I'm glad you're here, Ethan said. Me too. They finished their ice cream. Went back to the playground. Ethan wanted to try the big slide. The one that twisted and dropped fast. Ryan stood at the bottom. Waited. Watched him climb to the top. Saw him hesitate. Saw him look down. You got this, Ryan called. Ethan sat at the top. Gripped the edges. And let go. He came down fast. Too fast. Laughing and screaming at the same time. Hit the bottom and stumbled into Ryan's arms. Ryan caught him. Steady. Sure. Again. Ethan shouted. Catch your breath first. But Ethan was already running back. Climbing again. Faster this time. More confident. Ryan watched him go, thinking about how brave kids were. How they just tried things. Fell. Got up. Tried again. No overthinking. No what-ifs. Maybe that was the lesson. Maybe fatherhood was just showing up and catching them when they fell. Ethan went down 3 more times. Each one faster. Each one louder. Then he climbed the monkey bars again. Made it halfway across. Swung wide. His hand slipped. Ryan saw it happen. Saw the moment before the fall. Moved fast, but not fast enough. Ethan hit the ground hard. Didn't get up. Ethan! Ryan was there in seconds. Kneeling. Checking. Where does it hurt? Ethan tried to sit up. Couldn't. His face went white. His breathing shallow. I can't. He grabbed his chest. I can't breathe right. Panic flooded Ryan's system. He pulled out his phone. Dialed. 911. What's your emergency? My son fell. He's having trouble breathing. We're at Lincoln Park, West Entrance. How old is he? 5. He's... Ryan's voice cracked. He's a cancer survivor. He's in remission, but... We're sending someone now. Stay with him. Keep him calm. Ryan dropped the phone. Held Ethan's hand. You're okay. You're going to be okay. Help is coming. Ethan's eyes were scared. Big. Too big. Am the first dying? No. Ryan said it firm. Sure. Even though he didn't know. Even though his own heart was racing, and his hands were shaking, and every instinct screamed that he'd failed. That he'd been trusted with the most important thing, and he'd let him fall. I want my mom, Ethan whispered. I'll call her. Right now. Ryan fumbled for his phone. Dialed Kiera. She picked up on the first ring. What's wrong? No hello. She knew. Somehow she knew. He fell. Ambulance is coming. We're at Lincoln Park. I'm on my way. The line went dead. Sirens wailed in the distance. Getting closer. Ryan held Ethan's hand and thought about all the things he should have done differently. Should have watched closer. Should have stayed nearer. Should have known that being a father meant protecting your child from every fall, even the ones you couldn't see coming. The ambulance arrived. Paramedics rushed over, checked Ethan, asked questions. Ryan answered what he could. They lifted him onto a stretcher, loaded him into the back. Are you the father? One of them asked. Yes, you can ride with us. Ryan climbed in, sat, held Ethan's hand as they drove, lights flashing. cutting through traffic like the world understood this was urgent. This mattered more than anything else. At the hospital, they wheeled him into emergency. Doctors appeared. Nurses. They asked more questions. Medical history. Allergies. Ryan pulled out his phone. Found the folder Kiera had given him. Medical records. Everything they needed to know. He's in remission from leukemia, Ryan said. Treatment ended 4 months ago. The doctor's face changed. We need to run tests. Make sure the fall didn't cause internal issues. They took him back. Ryan was left alone in a waiting room that smelled like antiseptic and fear. He sat, put his head in his hands, tried to breathe. The door burst open. Kiera ran in. Hair wild, face pale, eyes searching. Where is he? They're running tests. He fell from the monkey bars. He said he couldn't breathe right. Oh God. She sank into a chair. Oh God, what if? Don't. Ryan's voice was firm. Don't go there yet. She looked at him, tears streaming. I shouldn't have let you take him alone. I should have. Don't do that either. Ryan sat beside her, close, but not touching. Kids fall. It happens. We got him here fast. But what if it's not just a fall? What if the cancer? Then we deal with it. Ryan's voice broke. Together. Whatever it is, we deal with it together. Kiera covered her face, sobbed once, then pulled herself together with a strength Ryan was learning to recognize. The kind built from years of being the only one who could. They waited. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, a doctor came out. He's okay, she said first. Bruised ribs, nothing broken. The breathing issue was panic, not physical trauma. We're keeping him for observation, but he's stable. Kiera stood. Can I see him? Of course. Both of you can. They followed her back. Down sterile hallways, past rooms with beeping machines and whispered conversations. Into a room where Ethan lay in a bed too big for him, looking small and scared and very much alive. Mama. His voice cracked. Kiera was there instantly, holding him, smoothing his hair, whispering things mothers whisper when the world almost breaks. Ryan stood back, let them have the moment, but Ethan looked past his mother, found Ryan. I'm sorry I fell, he said. Ryan's chest tightened. You don't need to be sorry, but I ruined the day. You didn't ruin anything. Are you mad? Ryan moved closer, sat on the edge of the bed. No. I was scared, but not mad. Never mad. Ethan's lip trembled. Are you still going to come back? And there it was. The question he always asked. The fear that lived underneath everything. That people left. That love was temporary. That he wasn't enough to make someone stay. Ryan took his hand. Small, warm, real. Yes, he said. I'm always going to come back. That's a promise. Ethan nodded. Believed him. The kind of belief kids give before the world teaches them better. Kiera looked at Ryan. Something passed between them. Not forgiveness, not trust, but maybe the beginning of both. The understanding that they were in this together now. That CO parenting wasn't a strategy in 7 easy steps. It was this. Hospital rooms and broken promises made whole. Fear and hope, sitting side by side. A nurse came in, checked vitals, smiled. He's a lucky boy. Dad got him here fast. Dad. Ryan didn't correct her. Didn't say he was still learning. Still figuring out how to be the person that word described. He just nodded and held his son's hand and thought about monkey bars and falls and all the ways you learn to catch someone when gravity pulls them down. They stayed until visiting hours ended. Then Kiera took Ethan home. Ryan drove back alone, walked into his apartment, sat on his couch, and finally let himself feel everything he'd been holding back. Fear, relief, the weight of responsibility, the terror of loving someone so much that every fall felt like the world ending. His phone buzzed. Text from Kiera. He's asleep, asking if you're coming to his birthday party next week. Ryan stared at the message. Birthday. He didn't even know when it was. He typed, when? Next Saturday. 2 p.m. Nothing big. Just cake and a few friends. I'll be there. 3 dots. Then, thank you. For today. For getting him there fast. For being there. Ryan didn't know how to respond. Didn't know how to say that he'd do anything. Jump in front of trains, move mountains, learn to catch falls before they happened. So he just typed, always, and meant it. The birthday cake had 6 candles. The birthday cake had 6 candles. Kiera counted them twice to make sure. Ethan had insisted on chocolate with vanilla frosting. Dinosaurs on top. The kind you got from the grocery store bakery, not the custom places that charged what she made in a week. Ryan had offered to pay for something bigger. She'd said no. Some things you didn't let money fix. The apartment was full. Rachel and her kids. 2 boys from Ethan's school. A neighbor who always asked how he was doing. Normal people. Small celebration. Exactly what Ethan wanted. Ryan arrived at 1:58. Early, but not too early. Learning the balance. He carried a box. Wrapped. Too perfect. Professional wrapping, the kind with corners that looked machine-made. "Happy birthday, buddy," he said when Ethan ran to the door. Ethan tore into the wrapping. Inside was a tablet. Kid-friendly case. Preloaded with educational games. The expensive kind. Kiera's jaw tightened. They'd talked about this. No big gifts. Not yet. Not when Ethan was still learning that Ryan wasn't just the parent with money. "Wow." Ethan's eyes went wide. "Can I play it now?" "After cake," Kiera said. Her voice was controlled. Tight. Ryan caught her expression. "I thought..." "Later," she said. Not angry, just final. They sang happy birthday. Ethan blew out candles. Made a wish he wouldn't tell anyone. Kids ate cake and ran around the small living room, hyped on sugar and noise. Ryan stood by the wall, looking out of place in khakis and a button-down. Everyone else wore jeans. He was trying. Just trying wrong. The kids went outside to play in the shared courtyard. Rachel pulled Kiera aside. "He bought him a tablet." "Yeah. Did you tell him not to?" "I said no big gifts." "A tablet is a big gift." "I know." Kiera rubbed her temples. "He's trying. He just doesn't know how we live yet." "Then teach him." Kiera looked out the window. Watched Ryan crouch down, showing Ethan something on the tablet. Watched her son's face light up. Watched the other kids crowd around, jealous and fascinated. "I'm trying," she said quietly. 2 hours later, everyone left. Just the 3 of them remained. Kiera started cleaning. Ryan helped. They moved around each other, careful, polite, the way strangers did. "Thank you for inviting me," Ryan said, throwing away paper plates. "It's your son's birthday." "I know, but..." He stopped. "I'm still learning the rules." "There aren't rules." "There are. I just don't know them yet." Kiera set down the trash bag, looked at him. The tablet was too much. He loved it. "That's not the point." "Then what is?" "The point is that he needs to know you're here for him, not for what you can buy him. And when you show up with expensive things, it makes me look like I can't provide. It makes him think love is measured in dollars." Ryan's face tightened. "I wasn't trying to..." "I know you weren't. But that's how it feels. Silence. Heavy. The kind that pressed down." Ethan appeared in the doorway. "Are you guys fighting?" "No, baby," Kiera said quickly. "Just talking. You look like you're fighting." He clutched the tablet. "Is it because of this?" "No," Ryan said. "Absolutely not." But Ethan didn't look convinced. He set the tablet down, walked to his room, closed the door softly, the kind of soft that was louder than slamming. Kiera sank onto the couch, put her head in her hands. "I'm messing this up," Ryan said. "We both are. How do we stop?" Kiera looked up. "I don't know. Maybe we need help." "What kind of help?" "Mediation, therapy, something. Because we can't keep doing this. Can't keep pretending we know how to co-parent when we barely know each other." Ryan sat beside her, not too close, respectful of space. "I'll do whatever you think is best. You always say that, because I mean it, but you don't ask what I need. You just wait for me to tell you. And I'm tired, Ryan. I'm tired of being the one who has to figure everything out. Then tell me how to help. That's the problem." Her voice cracked. "I don't know. I've been doing this alone so long, I don't know how to let someone else in. Don't know how to share decisions. Don't know how to trust that you'll show up when it's hard. Not just when it's birthdays and parks. Ryan wanted to argue, wanted to say he'd proven himself. But had he? 3 months. That's all they'd had. 3 months against 5 years. Not exactly a fair comparison. What if we did mediation? He said finally. Got a professional to help us figure this out. You'd really do that? Yeah. Kiera nodded, pulled out her phone, searched, found a family counseling center, clicked, filled out the form right there before she could change her mind. Done, she said. First available appointment is Wednesday at 6. I'll be there. Ryan left soon after. Kiera checked on Ethan. He was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling. You okay? She asked. Why doesn't he know how to be a dad? Kiera sat on the edge of his bed. Because he's learning. Just like I learned when you were born. But you knew. No, baby, I didn't. I just tried really hard. And sometimes I messed up. Still do. Do you like him? The question caught her off guard. What? Dad, do you like him? Kiera thought about it. Really thought. I'm learning to. Same as he's learning to be your father. Same as you're learning to have one. We're all figuring it out together. What if we can't figure it out? Then we keep trying until we do. Ethan rolled over, faced the wall. The tablet was cool, but I'd rather just have him here, not buying stuff, just here. Kiera's throat closed. She kissed his head. Left the room. Went to the kitchen and cried quietly into a dish towel because her son was wiser than both of his parents combined. Wednesday came. The mediation center smelled like lavender and false calm. Soft chairs, neutral colors, art that meant nothing. They sat across from a woman named Dr. Chen, mid-40s, kind eyes, notepad in her lap. So, Dr. Chen said, tell me why you're here. Kiera and Ryan both spoke at once, stopped, looked at each other. You first, Ryan said. We don't know how to parent together, Kiera said. We barely know each other, and our son is stuck in the middle, watching us pretend we have answers when we don't. Dr. Chen nodded, wrote something. Ryan, I want to be a good father, but I don't know what that looks like to her, and every time I try, I seem to mess it up. Can you give me an example? Ryan glanced at Kiera. I bought him a tablet for his birthday. She thought it was too much. It was too much, Kiera said. He's 6. He doesn't need... 7, Ryan corrected. He's 7 now. 6. His birthday was last week. He turned 6. Ryan's face went pale. You said 7, in court. The judge said he was 5 in court. That was months ago. Oh God. Ryan put his head in his hands. I don't even know how old my own son is. The room went quiet. Dr. Chen let it sit. Let them feel it. This is what I'm talking about, Kiera said, but her voice was softer now, sad instead of angry. You're trying, I see that. But you don't know him yet. You don't know that he hates mustard but loves ketchup, that he can't sleep without his light, that he has nightmares about hospitals. You don't know because you weren't there, and I don't know how to teach you 5 years in 5 minutes. So teach me slowly, Ryan said. I'll learn. I'll mess up, but I'll keep learning. Do kids see more than we think? If you've ever watched grown-ups fight while pretending to smile, you know the answer. Let us know in the comments. Dr. Chen leaned forward. I'm going to be direct with you both. You're not failing. You're just in the hard part, the part where you have to decide if you're going to build something together or keep operating as separate entities who share a child. Neither is wrong. But one is easier on Ethan. What do we do? Kiera asked. You start with small agreements, consistent rules across both homes, unified front on discipline, regular communication that isn't just about logistics. You learn each other, not as strangers who made a child, but as partners raising one. What if we can't? Ryan's voice was barely above a whisper. Then you come back here. You keep trying. Because the alternative is Ethan learning that the people who love him can't figure out how to love each other. Even a little. They left with a worksheet. Communication goals, shared rules, weekly check-ins, homework, essentially. For adults who'd skipped all the steps and jumped straight to parenthood. In the parking lot, they stood by their cars, not sure how to leave. I'm sorry, Ryan said, about the age thing, about the tablet, about all of it. I'm sorry too, for expecting you to know things I never told you, for being angry that you're not perfect when I'm not either. Can we try again? The birthday thing? What do you mean? Can we do something small? Just the three of us? Like a do-over. But this time, you tell me the rules first. Kiera smiled. Small. Tired. But real. Yeah. We can do that. They stood there a moment longer. Two people trying to build a bridge across 5 years of silence. Trying to learn each other in reverse. Trying to be what a little boy needed, even when they didn't know how. Ryan's phone buzzed. He checked it. His face changed. What? Kiera asked. Court notification. Someone filed a motion. Who? Ryan scrolled. Read. His jaw tightened. My mother. She's filing for grandparent visitation rights. Kiera's stomach dropped. She can't do that. Apparently she can, and she is. Ryan looked up. The hearing is in 2 weeks. Why would she? Because she wants to meet him. And I told her to wait. Told her we needed time to figure this out first. She didn't listen. Kiera's hands started shaking. Ryan, I can't do another court battle. I can't. You won't have to. I'll handle it. How? I don't know yet. But I will. He looked at her. I promise. They stood there, staring at their phones, realizing that just when they thought they'd figured out how to co-parent, the world had added another player to the game. One neither of them had invited. One who had lawyers and rights, and a son who wanted to meet his grandson. And Ethan, inside his room, was drawing another picture, this one with 3 people. Mama, Dad, and a question mark in the corner labeled Grandma. Because kids always knew, always saw more than adults thought they did, always understood that the grown-ups were making it up as they went along. And sometimes, that understanding was the heaviest thing they carried. Ryan found the notebook by accident. He wasn't snooping. Not really. Just looking for Ethan's backpack in the closet because they were running late for school and the kid swore he'd hung it up but clearly hadn't. That's when he saw it. Small. Blue. Pushed behind shoes that didn't fit anymore. He pulled it out. Opened it before thinking better of it. The first page was a drawing. Stick figures. One labeled Mama. One labeled me. And one, taller than the others, labeled Dad. They were holding hands. Standing in front of a house. Ryan flipped a page. Another drawing, this one with 4 people. Mama, me, Dad, and someone new, Grandma, with a question mark, like Ethan didn't know if she was real. More pages, more drawings, each one a version of the same thing. Family, complete, together. Sometimes they were at a park, sometimes at the beach. Once, they were in space, but always they were holding hands. Always, they were smiling. The last page was different. Just words, written in shaky first-grade letters. I wish Dad was here before. I wish Mama wasn't sad. I wish I wasn't sick. I wish we were a real family. Ryan's hands shook. He closed the notebook. Set it down. Picked it up again. Stared at the words until they blurred. A real family. Like they weren't. Like what they had now. This fractured thing held together by court orders and mediation sessions and people trying their best. Wasn't enough. Wasn't real. Dad? Ethan stood in the doorway. Saw the notebook. His face went white. That's mine. I know. I'm sorry. I was looking for your backpack. You weren't supposed to see that. Why not? Ethan's lip trembled. Because it's embarrassing. Why is it embarrassing? Because we're not a real family. And I'm not supposed to want that. Mama says lots of kids have different kinds of families, and that's okay, but His voice broke. I still want the other kind. Ryan knelt down. Eye level. Hey, come here. Ethan didn't move. Please. Slowly, Ethan walked over. Ryan pulled him close. Held him. Felt the small body shake with tears the kid was trying hard not to cry. We are a real family, Ryan said. It doesn't look like the ones on TV. It doesn't look like your friends' families, but it's real. Because real isn't about who lives where. It's about who shows up, who cares, who stays. But you didn't stay before. The words hit like a punch. Direct, true, undeniable. You're right, Ryan said. I didn't, because I didn't know you existed, and I can't change that. Can't go back and fix it. But I'm here now, and I'm not leaving. That's a promise. You promise a lot. Because I mean it a lot. Ethan pulled back, wiped his eyes. Can I have my notebook back? Of course. Ryan handed it over. But Ethan, those drawings aren't embarrassing. They're beautiful, and they show me what you want. That helps me know how to be better. Ethan clutched the notebook to his chest. Can I ask you something? Anything. Why didn't you want to be my dad before? Ryan felt something crack inside. I did want to be a dad. I just didn't know I was one. Would you have wanted me if you knew? And there it was. The real question, the one that lived underneath all the others. The one that determined whether love was biology or choice or luck. Ryan took his son's face in his hands. Gentle. Sure. Yes, I would have wanted you. Every version of you. Sick and healthy. Good days and bad. With dinosaurs and without. I would have wanted you. And I'm sorry I missed the chance to show you that sooner. Ethan searched his face, looking for lies, for cracks, for proof that adults said things they didn't mean. But Ryan's eyes were steady, clear, true. Okay, Ethan said finally. Then we're going to be late for school. Just like that, the moment passed. Kids did that, carried heavy things, then set them down and went back to being 6, 7, whatever age they were supposed to be. They drove to school in silence. Ryan pulled up to the drop-off line. Ethan grabbed his backpack, paused. Dad? Yeah? I'm glad you found my notebook. Me too, buddy. Ethan got out, ran toward the building, stopped halfway, turned, waved. Ryan waved back, waited until Ethan disappeared inside, then sat there in the parking lot, engine running, thinking about drawings and wishes and all the ways you could fail someone without ever meaning to. His phone rang. Work. He ignored it. Rang again. He answered. Where are you? His COO. The investor meeting started 10 minutes ago. Ryan closed his eyes. The meeting. Japan. 8 months of negotiations. He'd forgotten. Completely forgotten. He stopped. I'm with my son. Ryan, these guys flew in from Tokyo. They're not going to wait. Then, reschedule. We can't reschedule. This is a $70 million deal. You need to be here. I'm not coming. Silence on the other end. Then, are you serious? Yeah, Ryan. I know the kid thing is new, but you can't just... I can. Ryan's voice was firm now. Final. I'll call them personally. Apologize. But I'm not leaving my son to fly across the world for a meeting. Not today. He hung up, drove home, walked into his apartment, saw his office, the desk where he'd spent countless hours building something that suddenly felt small. He opened his laptop, started typing, an email to the investors, professional, apologetic, offering alternative dates, knowing it might cost the deal, not caring as much as he thought he would, because $70 million wouldn't draw pictures of families holding hands, wouldn't ask if you wanted them before you were born, wouldn't cry into your shoulder about wishes that felt impossible. He sent the email, closed the laptop, sat in the silence. His phone buzzed. Text from Kiera. Ethan told me about the notebook. Thank you for what you said to him. He deserved to hear it. Still. Thank you. Ryan stared at the message. Typed. Can I ask you something? Sure. Do you think we'll ever get to the family he draws? The one where we're all together? 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. I don't know. But I think we can get to something good, something real, even if it doesn't look like the pictures. Ryan set his phone down, walked to his bedroom, opened the closet. In the back, behind suits and shoes and all the trappings of a life he'd built carefully, was a box. He pulled it out, sat on the floor, opened it. Inside were old ones, from 7 years ago, adoption applications, home study results, reference letters, everything he'd needed to adopt a child with his ex-fiancée, everything that had fallen apart when she'd changed her mind, when she'd realized she didn't want kids, didn't want the life they'd been planning, didn't want him. He'd kept the papers. Don't know why. Maybe as proof that he'd wanted it, that he'd tried, that he wasn't the kind of man who ran from responsibility. He was the kind who filed paperwork and took parenting classes and read books about attachment theory. He just never got the chance to use it. Until now. He pulled out a photo, him and his ex, smiling, in front of the adoption agency, looking hopeful, looking young, looking like people who thought love was enough. It wasn't enough, but maybe trying was. He put the photo back, closed the box, pushed it into the closet. Some things you kept, not because you needed them, but because forgetting felt like erasing the person you'd been, the person who'd wanted to be a father long before biology made him one. That evening, he picked up Ethan from Kiera's. They went to the park, played on the swings, got ice cream, normal things, easy things. "Dad," Ethan said, licking chocolate off his fingers, "can I tell you a secret? Always. I'm scared Grandma won't like me." Ryan blinked. "Why would you think that?" "Because I didn't know her before. And what if she's mad at Mama for not telling? What if she thinks I'm bad?" "You're not bad. But what if she thinks I am?" Ryan set down his cone, pulled Ethan close. "Listen to me. My mom is a lot of things. Stubborn, opinionated, sometimes pushy, but she's not mean, and she's going to love you because you're lovable and because you're mine. Promise?" "Promise." But even as he said it, Ryan wasn't sure. His mother had been angry when he told her. Angry that Kiera had kept Ethan's secret. Angry that she'd missed 5 years. Angry that her son was only now learning to be a father. And angry people did unpredictable things. His phone buzzed. Text from his lawyer. "Your mother's filing includes a request for alternating holidays. She's not just asking for visits. She's asking for custody time." Ryan stared at the message, cold spreading through his chest. "She can't do that. She can try. And with your wealth and Kiera's financial history, a judge might listen. What do I do? Talk to her." Before this goes further, Ryan called his mother. She picked up on the third ring. "Ryan, Mom, we need to talk about the filing." "There's nothing to talk about. I have rights. You have rights to visit, not custody. I deserve more than a visit. I deserve to know my grandson, to be in his life, and that woman. Her name is Kiera. Kept him from me, kept him from you. Why are you defending her? Because she did what she thought was right, and because I won't let you hurt her to get to him. I'm not trying to hurt anyone. I'm trying to protect my grandson. From what? From instability, from a mother who can't provide, from a life that—" "Stop." Ryan's voice was hard now, sharp. "You don't know her, don't know what she's been through, what she's sacrificed, and you don't get to waltz in and judge her because you're angry I didn't tell you sooner. I have a right to be angry, maybe, but you don't have a right to weaponize it. So either you drop the custody request and we figure this out as a family, or you go to court and lose me in the process. Your choice." Silence, long, tense. "You'd really choose her over me?" His mother's voice cracked. "I'm not choosing anyone over anyone. I'm choosing what's best for Ethan. And right now, that's stability, not more courts, not more fighting, just peace, more silence. Then, I'll think about it. Think fast. The hearing's in 2 weeks." He hung up, stood there, phone in hand, realizing that building a family wasn't just about the people in it. It was about protecting it from the people outside who thought they knew better. When he got home that night, there was a package at his door. No return address. He opened it carefully. Inside was a stuffed dinosaur, T-Rex, and a note in his mother's handwriting. "For Ethan, I'm sorry. Let's start over." Ryan held the dinosaur, felt relief and frustration war inside him. His mother was trying, in her own controlling, complicated way, but trying. He took a photo, sent it to Kiera. "My mom sent this for Ethan. She's dropping the custody request." "How do you know?" "Because she wouldn't send a gift if she was planning to fight." "I hope you're right. Me too." That night, Ryan couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the notebook, about drawings of families that didn't exist yet, about a little boy who carried wishes like stones, and he wondered if love was enough, if showing up was enough, if trying every day to be better than you were yesterday could somehow add up to the father a kid deserved. He didn't have answers, just questions, and a stuffed dinosaur sitting on his counter, and the feeling that he was building something, slowly, messily, but building it nonetheless. And maybe that was enough. Maybe that was all any parent ever did. Built families out of broken pieces and hope and the refusal to give up, even when the picture didn't match the one in the notebook, even when real looked nothing like perfect. but looked like love anyway. Ryan was asleep when his phone rang. Ryan was asleep when his phone rang. The kind of sleep that came after long days and longer thoughts. The kind you fought for. The kind that was never quite enough. He fumbled for the phone. Saw the number. Hospital. His stomach dropped. Hello? Mr. Gaines? A woman's voice. Professional. Calm in the way people practiced for emergencies. This is County General. I'm calling about Ethan Hollis. Ryan sat up, fully awake now. What happened? He was brought in by ambulance about 20 minutes ago. Severe fever, difficulty breathing. Miss Hollis is here, but I'm on my way. He was in the car before he finished dressing. Threw on jeans. A shirt that might have been inside out. Didn't care. Just drove, breaking every speed limit. Praying to a God he wasn't sure he believed in that his son was okay. Please let him be okay. The hospital parking lot was empty except for ambulances and cars belonging to people who'd gotten calls like his. Cars parked crooked. Doors left unlocked. Evidence of panic. He ran inside. Found the emergency desk. Ethan Hollis. Where is he? The receptionist typed, Room 3. Down the hall, second door on the left. Ryan didn't thank her. Just ran. Found the room. Burst in. Kiera sat in a chair beside a bed where Ethan lay, pale and small and connected to machines that beeped too loud. She looked up when Ryan entered. Her eyes were red, swollen, terrified. What happened? Ryan moved to the bed, touched Ethan's hand. Cold, too cold. Fever spiked at bedtime. 104. I gave him medicine. It didn't come down. Then he started having trouble breathing. I called 911. Her voice was mechanical, reciting facts because emotion would break her. Is it? Ryan couldn't say it. Couldn't say the word that had lived in the back of his mind since the day he learned he had a son who'd survived cancer. They don't know yet. They're running tests. Kiera stood, paced, couldn't sit still. It could be infection, could be his immune system, could be. Her voice cracked. Could be it came back. The door opened. A doctor walked in, young, tired, carrying a tablet. Miss Hollis, Mr. Gaines. She nodded at both of them. I'm Dr. Patel. I've been reviewing Ethan's case. And Kiera's voice was barely above a whisper. His white blood cell count is elevated. That suggests infection, not relapse. But we need to be thorough. We're running a full panel, blood cultures, imaging. It'll take a few hours. A few hours? Ryan's voice rose. He can't breathe properly, and you want us to wait a few hours? We've got him on oxygen, antibiotics. He's stable, but we need to identify the infection source before we can treat it effectively. Doctor. Patel's voice was patient. She'd done this before. Explained waiting to panicked parents who wanted answers faster than medicine could provide them. Can we see him? Kiera asked. One at a time, and only for a few minutes. He needs rest. Kiera looked at Ryan, a question in her eyes. You first, he said. She nodded, disappeared into the room where their son lay sleeping, fighting something they couldn't see. Ryan sank into a waiting room chair, dropped his head into his hands, breathed, tried to breathe. A hand touched his shoulder. He looked up. Kiera's friend Rachel. He'd met her at the birthday party. She carried 2 coffees. Kiera texted me, she said. Figured you'd both need this. Thanks. He took it. Didn't drink. Just held it because his hands needed something to do. Rachel sat beside him. He's going to be okay. You don't know that. You're right, I don't. But Kiera's been through this before. The middle of the night calls, the waiting. And Ethan's still here, still fighting. Kid stronger than he looks. He shouldn't have to be strong. He's 6, 7. Ryan closed his eyes. Right. 7. I keep forgetting. You'll remember. Give yourself time. Time. Everyone kept saying that. Like time was something you could manufacture. Like there was enough of it. Kiera came back out. Sat down hard. Stared at nothing. Your turn, she said to Ryan. He walked in. Ethan was awake. Barely. Eyes half open. Oxygen mask covering most of his face. Hey, buddy, Ryan said softly. Sat on the edge of the bed. Dad. Ethan's voice was muffled. Small. I'm here. Am the first dying? Ryan's chest tightened. No. You're going to be fine. You don't know that. You're right, I don't. But I believe it. Why? Because you're too stubborn to die. Ethan almost smiled. Almost. Mama says I get that from her. Maybe. Or maybe from me. We haven't known each other long enough for me to tell you all the stubborn things I've done. Like what? Like refusing to eat vegetables until I was 12. Like building a treehouse without permission and falling out of it 3 times before I got it right. Like, Ryan stopped. Like finding out I had a son and refusing to walk away even though everything was complicated and scary and I had no idea what I was doing. Ethan looked at him. Really looked. Are you scared now? Terrified. Me too. They sat there. Father and son. Both scared. Both trying to be brave for each other. Both failing and somehow making it work anyway. A nurse came in. Sorry, Mr. Gaines. We need to draw more blood. Ryan stood. Kissed Ethan's forehead. I'll be right outside. Promise? Promise. He left. Went back to the waiting room. Kiera had her head back against the wall. Eyes closed. Not sleeping. Just existing. He asked if he was dying, Ryan said. Kiera nodded. Didn't open her eyes. He always asks that, every time we're here. Does it get easier, hearing it? No. They sat in silence. Minutes passed. Hours, maybe. Time moved weird in hospitals, stretched and compressed depending on how much you needed it to slow down or speed up. Other families came and went. A woman with a broken arm, an elderly man with chest pains, a teenager who'd been in a car accident, normal emergencies, the kind that happened every day, the kind that made you realize how fragile everything was, how fast it could all change. Dr. Patel came back. 2:47 a.m. Ryan had been watching the clock. Each minute an eternity. We have preliminary results, she said. It's a respiratory infection. Bacterial. Aggressive but treatable. We've started him on IV antibiotics. We want to keep him for observation, probably 3 to 4 days. But it's not. Kiera couldn't finish. It's not cancer, Dr. Patel said gently. His remission is holding. This is just an infection. Serious, but manageable. Kiera sobbed. Once, sharp, then pulled herself together. Can we see him? Yes, both of you. And one of you can stay overnight if you'd like. They walked to his room together. Ethan was asleep now, breathing easier. The oxygen mask was still on, but the numbers on the monitor looked better. More stable. I'll stay, Kiera said automatically. We can both stay, Ryan offered. There's only one chair that folds out into a bed. Then I'll get another chair, or I'll sleep on the floor. But I'm not leaving. Kiera looked at him, tired, grateful. Okay. They arranged themselves. Kiera in the fold-out chair bed. Ryan in a regular chair he dragged from the hallway. Uncomfortable, but he'd slept in worse places. Board meetings, red-eye flights, his own guilt. Around 4 a.m., a nurse came in. Not to check Ethan, to check them. You two need to eat something, she said. Cafeteria's closed, but there's vending machines on the 2nd floor. We're fine, Kiera said. That wasn't a suggestion. The nurse's voice was firm but kind. I've seen too many parents collapse from not taking care of themselves. You can't help them if you're running on empty. So one of you goes, gets food, comes back, then the other goes. Understand? They understood. Ryan went first, walked to the vending machines, bought chips, a sandwich that looked days old, water, carried it back. They ate in silence, tasting nothing, doing it because they had to. Around 6 a.m., Ethan woke up. Looked around, saw them both. You stayed, he said. Of course we stayed, Ryan said. Both of you, both of us. Ethan's eyes welled up. Not from pain, from something else, something that looked like relief, like maybe he'd been waiting to see if they'd show up together. If crisis could do what mediation couldn't. Am I going to be okay? He asked. Yes, Kiera said. You're on good medicine. Your body's fighting. You're going to be okay. When can I go home? Few days. Which home? The question hung there, heavy, because Ethan had 2 now, and neither parent had figured out how to make them feel like one. Kiera looked at Ryan, a conversation in a glance, then back to Ethan. Whichever one you want, she said. We'll figure it out together. Morning came slow. Nurses changed shifts. Doctors made rounds. Ethan's fever broke around 9. By noon, he was asking for food. By evening, he was complaining about being bored. Good signs. All of them. Ryan went home to shower, change clothes, came back with Ethan's tablet, the one from the birthday party, the one that had caused a fight. Thought you might want this, he said. Ethan's eyes lit up. Really? Yeah. Is Mama okay with it? I asked her. She said yes. Kiera smiled. Small, tired, but real. Progress, tiny, incremental. But progress. Day 2, the hospital social worker came by. Standard protocol for extended stays. She asked questions, took notes, then pulled Ryan and Kiera into the hallway. I need clarification on something, she said, for his medical records. Who's listed as primary guardian? I am, Kiera said. And secondary? Silence. They hadn't discussed this, hadn't filled out the forms, hadn't made it official. We need a secondary, the social worker said. In case of emergency, if Miss Hollis can't be reached, someone needs legal authority to make medical decisions. Me, Ryan said. Put me down. Are you currently listed on his birth certificate? No. Then we'll need to file an amendment. That takes time. Weeks, usually. She looked between them. In the meantime, if there's an emergency and Kiera can't be reached, we'd have to defer to next of kin, which, according to current documentation, doesn't include you, Mr. Gaines. The words hit hard because they were true. Legally, medically, officially, Ryan was nobody. Just a man who paid bills and showed up and loved a kid who shared his DNA, but not his name. How do we fix it? Kiera asked. File for amended birth certificate, file for dual custody, establish legal guardianship. Any of those would work, but they take time. We don't have time, Ryan said. He's in the hospital now. Then for now, Miss Hollis needs to designate you as temporary medical proxy. I can draw up the paperwork, you both sign it. It's not permanent, but it covers emergencies. They signed, dated, made it official. Ryan stared at his signature, at the line where he'd written father under relationship. Father, the word looked different on paper, felt heavier, like now it was real, not just biology, not just visits and mediation and trying, but legal, binding, permanent. That night, Ethan spiked another fever, not as high, but enough to worry. Dr. Patel came back. The infection is being stubborn. We're switching antibiotics. Might take another few days to resolve fully. What if it doesn't resolve? Kiera asked. Then we look at other causes, but let's not borrow trouble. He's young, strong. He's been through worse. That became the mantra. He's been through worse. They said it to each other, to Rachel when she visited, to Ryan's mother when she called, voice small, asking if Ethan was okay. He's been through worse, and maybe that was the most heartbreaking part, that a 7-year-old had a scale of bad that included worse than this. Worse than fevers and infections and oxygen masks, and parents who were still learning how to parent together. Day 4, Ethan was cleared to go home. Numbers good. Fever gone. Appetite back. Who's taking him? The nurse asked, looking at the discharge papers. Ryan and Kiera looked at each other. Both of us, Ryan said. To his house first. My apartment doesn't have his stuff, his room, the things he needs. Kiera nodded. We'll both take him home. They loaded into Ryan's car. Ethan in the back. Quiet, tired, clutching the dinosaur his grandmother had sent. At a red light, Ryan looked in the rearview mirror. Ethan was staring out the window, not at anything particular, just staring. You okay back there? Ryan asked. Can I ask you something? Ethan's voice was small. Always. If something happened to Mama, would you still want me? The light turned green. Ryan didn't move. Cars honked behind him. He pulled over, turned around. Why would you ask that? Because the lady at the hospital said you weren't my real dad on paper, and I got scared that meant you could leave. Kiera covered her mouth, turned away. Ryan unbuckled, climbed into the back seat, pulled Ethan close. Listen to me. Paper doesn't make you a father. Love does. Showing up does, and I'm going to show up every single day for the rest of your life. I don't care what documents say. I don't care what names are written where. You're my son. That's not something I can undo. Not something I want to undo. Ever. You understand? Ethan nodded, buried his face in Ryan's chest, and Kiera cried quietly in the front seat, realizing that maybe the family in Ethan's drawings wasn't impossible after all. Maybe it just looked different than anyone expected. Maybe it looked like this. Two parents who barely knew each other, learning to love the same child, learning to be a team. Imperfect, messy, but trying, always trying. They drove the rest of the way in silence, pulled up to Kiera's apartment, carried Ethan inside, put him to bed. Ryan stayed until Ethan fell asleep, then walked to the living room where Kiera sat, staring at nothing. "Thank you," she said. "For what you said in the car. I meant every word." "I know. That's why I'm thanking you." Ryan sat beside her, not too close, respectful, but close enough. "I want to amend the birth certificate," he said. "Add my name, make it official." "Okay. Really? Really?" She looked at him. "You've earned it." They sat in silence, tired, relieved, scared of the next crisis because there was always a next crisis. But for now, Ethan was home, breathing easy, safe, and two people who'd started as strangers were becoming something else. Not friends, not lovers, but partners, co-parents, people who'd chosen each other not because of romance, but because of a little boy who drew pictures of families and asked questions that broke your heart. And maybe that was enough. Maybe that was everything. The email came on a Tuesday. The email came on a Tuesday. Subject line, Singapore expansion, final offer. Ryan stared at it for 20 minutes before opening it. The investors were back. Bigger deal this time. 80 million. But it required relocation. 6 months minimum. Maybe a year. Singapore office. New market. Everything he'd worked toward. Everything that used to matter. He closed the laptop, looked around his apartment, saw Ethan's backpack by the door, the one he kept here now for every other weekend stays, saw the dinosaur posters they'd hung together, the drawer full of clothes in the wrong sizes because kids grew fast and Ryan was still learning what fit. His phone rang. Work. He let it go to voicemail. Rang again. Different number. Kiera. He picked up. "Hey, can you get Ethan from school today? I got called in for a double shift. 2 nurses called out sick." "Yeah, of course. You sure? I know you had that meeting." "I'll move it." He already was. Typing one-handed. Rescheduling. Making his son the priority. Getting better at it. Getting used to it. "Thank you." Relief in her voice. "I'll be home around midnight. Want me to keep him overnight?" Pause. "You don't have to." "I want to. It's Tuesday. We can do homework, make dinner. He can sleep here." "Okay." Another pause. "Thanks, Ryan." She hung up. Ryan looked at his calendar. Back-to-back meetings, investor calls, performance reviews. He started rescheduling, moving things, canceling others. His assistant was going to hate him. He didn't care. 3 p.m. He pulled up to the school. Ethan ran out, backpack bouncing. Climbed in. "Where's Mama?" "Working." "You're staying with me tonight." "Really?" Ethan's face lit up. "Can we make tacos?" "Sure." "And watch the dinosaur documentary?" "If homework gets done first." "Deal." They drove home, stopped at the grocery store. Ethan helped pick ingredients, argued about which cheese was better. Normal things, the kind Ryan had missed 5 years of and was trying to cram into every moment now. At home, they made dinner together. Ethan stood on a chair, helping chop tomatoes with a butter knife while Ryan handled the actual cutting. They talked about school, about a kid who'd pushed him at recess, about a book he was reading about space. "Do you think there's life on other planets?" Ethan asked. "Maybe." "What do you think they look like?" "Probably nothing like us." "Would they have families?" Ryan paused. "I'd like to think so. Even if they're aliens?" "Everyone needs family, even aliens." Ethan considered this. "Do you think they fight? Like how you and Mama used to?" "Used to." Past tense. Like they'd moved beyond it. Maybe they had. Maybe, Ryan said carefully. But hopefully they figure out how to stop, how to work together, like you and Mama did? Yeah, like that. They ate dinner, did homework, watched half the documentary before Ethan fell asleep on the couch. Ryan carried him to bed, tucked him in, stood there watching him sleep, thinking about Singapore and opportunities and all the things that used to define success. His phone buzzed. The email, still unread, still waiting. He opened it. Read the full offer. Relocation package, housing allowance, promotion, everything he'd wanted 2 years ago. Everything that felt hollow now, because success used to mean building something big. Now it meant being there when your kid asked about aliens, when he needed help with fractions, when he just wanted to make tacos and feel normal. Ryan typed a response. Short, direct. Thank you for the opportunity. I have to decline. My priorities have changed. He sent it before he could overthink it. Felt something release in his chest. Relief maybe. Or clarity. Or just the knowledge that he'd chosen right this time. His phone rang immediately. His COO. Ryan, did you just turn down Singapore? Yeah. Why? Because I have a son. Bring him with you. We'll pay for schools, nanny, whatever you need. It's not about money. Then what's it about? It's about showing up, about not being the dad who's always on a plane, always choosing work, always somewhere else when it matters. Silence. Then, you're really doing this. Yeah. Is this because of the kid or because you're burning out? Both. Neither. Does it matter? I guess not. His coo sighed. So, what now? Now I figure out how to run this company without moving to Singapore. Remote management, delegate more, build a team that doesn't need me to be everywhere at once. That's not how you've ever operated. Then maybe it's time I learn a new way. The call ended. Ryan sat in the quiet, thought about all the things he'd given up, all the things he'd gained, wondered if it balanced, decided it didn't matter. Some choices weren't about balance. They were about what you could live with. And he couldn't live with missing more of Ethan's life. Couldn't live with being the father who was always about to show up. Always almost there. Always absent. Kiera came by around midnight. Quiet. Careful not to wake Ethan. Ryan met her at the door. He's asleep, Ryan said. We made tacos, did homework. He was asking about aliens. Kiera smiled. Tired. He's on an alien kick lately. I noticed. She looked around. At the apartment that was slowly becoming child-friendly. At the drawings on the fridge. At the shoes by the door. At the evidence that Ryan was trying. Really trying. Can I ask you something? She said, Sure. Are you happy, doing all this? Ryan thought about it. Really thought. Yeah, I am. Even though it's hard. Especially because it's hard. He leaned against the counter. I spent years building a company, building a reputation, being someone people respected. But none of it felt like this. Like what? Like it mattered. Kiera's eyes welled up. She blinked, cleared her throat. I'm glad you're here. Glad you stayed. Where else would I be? I don't know. Singapore, maybe. Ryan's head snapped up. How did you? Ethan mentioned you had a big meeting you moved. I Googled your company, saw the expansion news. She smiled. Small. Sad. I figured. I turned it down. I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm glad you stayed. They stood there. 2 people who'd made a child in a moment and were now making a family in 1,000 of them. Slow. Imperfect. But making it nonetheless. Can I tell you something? Kiera said. Something I haven't told anyone? Always. I was scared when you first showed up. Scared you'd take him. Scared you'd hurt him. Scared you'd be like every other man who said they'd stay and didn't. Her voice cracked. But you did stay. You keep staying, and I... She stopped. I don't know how to thank you for that. You don't have to thank me for being his father. But I do. Because you chose it. You didn't have to. You could have just written checks, done the minimum. But you didn't. You chose to be here. And that's... She wiped her eyes. That's everything. Ryan felt something shift. Something he couldn't name. Not love. Not yet. But maybe the foundation of it. The understanding that they were on the same side. Fighting for the same thing. Building toward something neither of them could see yet but both believed in. We should probably talk about Christmas, Kiera said, changing the subject because emotion was hard. His school break is 3 weeks. Do you want him for some of it? Half. Okay. We can figure out the days. And what about your family? Do you go see them? Kiera's face closed. I don't have family, just Ethan. And now, you, I guess. What about your parents? Dad left when I was 3. Mom died 5 years ago. No siblings, no aunts or uncles I talk to. It's just been me and Ethan. Ryan's chest tightened. I'm sorry. Don't be. You can't miss what you never really had. She looked at him. But Ethan has more now. He has you, your mom. That's more than I ever gave him. You gave him everything. I gave him what I could. But you're giving him something I couldn't. A father who shows up, who chooses him. That's not nothing. They stood in silence, comfortable now. The awkwardness of early co-parenting fading into something easier, something that looked like partnership. I should go, Kiera said. Let you sleep. You could stay. On the couch. If you don't want to drive this late. She considered it. Thanks. But I need my own bed, my own space. She smiled. But I appreciate the offer. Anytime. She left. Ryan locked the door behind her. Checked on Ethan one more time. The kid was sprawled across the bed, covers kicked off, teddy bear on the floor. Ryan picked up the bear, tucked it beside him, pulled the covers up. Ethan stirred. Dad? Yeah, buddy. Are you staying? I'm right here. No. I mean, are you staying? Like, forever? Ryan sat on the edge of the bed. Yeah. I'm staying forever. Promise? Promise. Ethan nodded. Went back to sleep. Just like that. Kids believed you when you said things. Adults learned not to. Ryan hoped Ethan would never learn that lesson. Hoped he'd always believe his father when he made promises. Hoped he'd never have a reason not to. The next morning they made pancakes. Ethan helped pour batter. Made shapes that looked like nothing. Laughed when Ryan flipped one too high and it stuck to the ceiling. Normal. Easy. The kind of morning Ryan had missed without knowing he was missing it. At drop-off, Ethan hugged him. Thanks for last night. Anytime. Can we do it again? Every Tuesday. Every Tuesday forever. Every Tuesday forever. Ethan grinned. Ran into school. Waved from the door. Ryan waved back. Watched him disappear. Then sat in his car, thinking about Singapore and choices and all the ways you build a life. One taco night at a time. One Tuesday at a time. One promise kept at a time. His phone rang. His mother. I heard you turned down Singapore, she said. News travels fast. Your COO called me. Wanted to know if I could talk sense into you. Can you? No. Her voice softened. Because you're already making sense. You're choosing your son. That's the right call. Thanks, Mom. Ryan, can I ask you something? Sure. Can I meet him? Properly. Not in court. Not with lawyers. Just as his grandmother. Ryan thought about Ethan's drawings. The question mark labeled Grandma. The wish for a complete family. Yeah, he said. Let me talk to Kiera. We'll set something up. Thank you. She hung up. Ryan drove to work. Walked into his office. Looked at the view he'd worked so hard to earn. The corner office. The title on the door. The life he'd built. It looked smaller now. Not because it wasn't impressive, but because he'd found something bigger. His assistant knocked. The team wants to know if you're staying or leaving. Staying. But things are going to change. How? I'm cutting back travel, delegating more, working remote when Ethan needs me, building a company that doesn't require me to sacrifice everything else to keep it running. That's ambitious. Yeah. But so is being a father. She smiled. He's lucky to have you. Ryan shook his head. I'm lucky to have him, and he meant it, because love didn't undo absence, didn't erase the 5 years he'd missed, but it did something else. It built something new, something that looked forward instead of back, something that said, I'm here now, I'm staying, that matters. And maybe it did. Maybe showing up, even late, was better than never showing up at all. Maybe that was the whole point. 6 months later, they were back in court. 6 months later, they were back in court. Same building, same smell, different reason. The hallway was less crowded this time. No emergency hearing. No rushed paperwork. Just a scheduled appearance. Final custody agreement. Making everything official, everything legal, everything permanent. Ryan wore a suit. Kiera wore a dress. Ethan wore his dinosaur shirt because that's what he wanted, and nobody told him no. He sat between them on the bench outside Judge Calloway's courtroom, swinging his legs, asking questions. "Will it hurt?" he asked. "What?" Kiera said. "Getting adopted. Will it hurt?" "You're not getting adopted, baby. Your dad's just adding his name to your birth certificate, making it official. Does that mean I have to change my name?" Ryan and Kiera exchanged looks. They'd discussed this, decided to let Ethan choose. 7 years old felt young for that decision, but it was his name, his identity. "Only if you want to," Ryan said. "You can be Ethan Hollis, or Ethan Gaines, or Ethan Hollis Gaines. Whatever feels right. What if nothing feels right? Then you stay Ethan Hollis until something does." Ethan nodded, went back to swinging his legs. The courtroom doors opened. The bailiff called them in. Judge Calloway looked older, grayer, but her eyes were sharp. She looked at the papers, at Ryan and Kiera, at Ethan between them. "This is unusual," she said. "Usually when families come back to my courtroom, it's because something went wrong. But according to this filing, things went right." "Yes, Your Honor," Ryan said. "You're requesting amended birth certificate, joint legal custody, shared physical custody on an agreed schedule, and you've both signed off on this voluntarily?" "Yes," Kiera said. "No disputes? No outstanding issues?" They looked at each other, at 6 months of mediation and family dinners and arguments that turned into compromises, at Tuesday nights and alternating weekends and holidays split fairly. "No disputes," Ryan said. Judge Calloway leaned back. "Well, that's refreshing." She looked at Ethan. "Young man, do you understand why you're here today?" Ethan sat up straighter. "My dad's becoming my real dad. On paper, he's already your real dad. This just makes it official." "How do you feel about that?" "Good." Ethan thought about it. "Mostly good. Mostly. Sometimes I'm still scared he'll leave." The courtroom went quiet. Judge Calloway's face softened. "Why are you scared of that?" "Because people leave, even when they say they won't, and Dad came late, so maybe he'll leave early." Ryan's chest tightened. He started to speak, but the judge held up a hand. "That's a fair fear," she said. "And I want you to know something. This paper I'm signing today, it means your dad can't just leave. It means he has responsibilities, legal ones. He has to show up, has to be there, has to keep being your father, even when it's hard, even when he doesn't want to. That's what this paper does. It holds him accountable." "Does that help?" Ethan thought about it. "A little. That's honest. I appreciate honest." She looked at Ryan. "You understand what you're signing up for?" "Yes, Your Honor. This isn't just about being there for the good parts. It's about showing up when he's sick, when he's struggling in school, when he's a teenager and hates you, when he's an adult and needs your help but doesn't want to ask for it. It's a lifetime commitment. You ready for that?" "I am. Ms. Hollis, you're satisfied with the custody arrangement?" "Yes, Your Honor. We've worked hard to find balance. It's not perfect, but it's fair. Fair is better than perfect." Judge Calloway signed the documents, one after another. Official stamps. Legal weight. "Mr. Gaines, you're now listed on Ethan's birth certificate. You have joint legal and physical custody. Congratulations." She banged the gavel. Just once. "Final. You're free to go." They stood, started to leave. Ethan grabbed both their hands, held tight, like he was making sure they were real, making sure this wasn't something he'd wake up from. Outside, Ryan's mother waited. She'd asked to come, waited in the hallway because she wasn't sure if she was invited inside. Ethan saw her, let go of Kiera's hand, walked over. "Hi, Grandma," he said, still a little shy, still learning. "Hi, sweetheart." She knelt down, eye level. "How did it go?" "Good. Dad's official now. I heard." She pulled something from her purse, a small wrapped box. "I got you something. To celebrate." Ethan opened it. Inside was a silver picture frame. Empty. "It's for a photo," she explained, "of your family, however you want that to look. Maybe just you and your parents, maybe all 4 of us. Your choice." Ethan looked at the frame, at the empty space waiting to be filled. "Can we take one now?" he asked. Ryan's mother looked at Kiera. A question. Permission. Kiera nodded. Yeah. Let's take one. They stood together on the courthouse steps. Ethan in the middle, Kiera on one side, Ryan on the other, Ryan's mother beside him. Not touching, not family yet in the traditional sense, but something. A stranger offered to take the photo. Ryan handed over his phone. Say cheese, the stranger said. Dinosaurs, Ethan shouted instead. They laughed. The shutter clicked, captured the moment. Imperfect, real, 4 people learning to be a family. They went to lunch after. A diner Ethan picked because they had good milkshakes. Sat in a booth, ordered too much food, talked about nothing important, just existed together. Ryan's mother asked about school, about dinosaurs, about what Ethan wanted to be when he grew up. A dad, he said. Like my dad. Ryan's vision blurred. He looked away, cleared his throat. That's a good goal, Ryan's mother said. What else? Maybe a paleontologist, or an astronaut, or both. Both sounds ambitious. Dad says you can be anything if you try hard enough. Dad's right. They finished eating. Ryan paid. His mother tried to split it. He refused. Small argument. Normal family stuff. Outside, they said goodbye. Ryan's mother hugged Ethan. Then, hesitantly, hugged Kiera. Thank you, she whispered. For raising him. For giving my son a chance. For... Her voice caught. For all of it. Kiera hugged back. Briefly. Still learning how to let people in. Thank you for the frame. That was thoughtful. I meant what I said. Family looks however you build it. She left. Got in her car. Waved as she drove away. Kiera looked at Ryan. Your mom's nice. She's trying. So are we. Yeah. They loaded into Ryan's car. Drove to Kiera's apartment. The place Ethan still called home even though he had 2 now. Can we print the photo? Ethan asked from the back seat. For the frame? Yeah, Ryan said. I'll send it to your mom. She can print it. Can we hang it in both houses? Ryan and Kiera looked at each other. We can print 2, Kiera said. 1 for each place, so I can see it wherever I am. Exactly. Ethan smiled, satisfied. Went back to looking out the window. They pulled up to the apartment, unloaded, walked inside. The place felt different now, not just Kiera's, but shared, co-owned, part of a bigger picture. You want to stay for dinner? Kiera asked. I'm making pasta. Ryan checked his watch. He had a meeting. Could reschedule. Had gotten good at rescheduling. Yeah, he said. I'll stay. They cooked together, not coordinated, not perfect. But together, Ethan set the table. Folded napkins into shapes that looked like nothing. Proud of them anyway. They ate, talked, laughed. Normal dinner, normal evening. The kind Ryan had dreamed about when he'd found that notebook. When he'd seen drawings of families holding hands. After dinner, Ethan pulled out his notebook. The blue one. Opened it to a fresh page. Started drawing. What are you making? Ryan asked. New picture. Of us. From today, he drew carefully. 4 stick figures. Labels for each. Mama, Dad, Ethan, Grandma. They stood in front of a building, holding hands, smiling. Can I add something? Ethan asked. What? He drew a speech bubble over his stick figure. Wrote inside it, letters still shaky but clearer than before. This is my family. For real this time. Ryan felt something break and heal simultaneously. He pulled Ethan close, held him. Yeah, buddy, he said. For real this time. Kiera wiped her eyes. Pretended it was allergies. Nobody believed her. Later, after Ethan went to bed, they sat on the couch. Tired. Full. Content. We did it, Kiera said. Did what? Made it work. Made a family out of chaos. We're still making it. It's not done. I know. But we're doing it. That counts. They sat in silence. Comfortable. The kind that didn't need filling. Can I ask you something? Ryan said. Sure. Are you happy? Kiera thought about it. Yeah, I am. Are you? Yeah, even though it's not what you planned. Especially because it's not what I planned. She smiled. Good answer. I try. More silence. Then Kiera stood. I should get ready for bed. Early shift tomorrow. You need me to take him to school? If you can, I can. Thanks. She paused. Ryan? Yeah? I'm glad it was you. Glad he's yours. Glad. She stopped. Just glad. Me too. She disappeared into her room. Ryan sat alone, looked at the drawing Ethan had left on the table, at the stick figures holding hands, at the words that said more than any legal document ever could. This is my family. For real this time. He took a photo, sent it to his mother with a simple message. We made it. She responded immediately. I never doubted you would. Ryan stood, checked on Ethan one last time. The kid was asleep, sprawled across the bed, covers kicked off, teddy bear on the floor. Ryan picked it up, tucked it beside him, pulled the covers up. Ethan stirred. Dad? Yeah? Can I live in both places forever? Ryan smiled. Yeah, buddy. You can live in both places forever. Good. Ethan rolled over. Love you. Love you too. Simple words. Complicated history. But love was like that. Simple in the saying, complicated in the doing. Worth it anyway. Ryan left, drove home, walked into his apartment, looked around at the life he'd built. The corner office, the success, the things that used to define him. They were still there, still mattered, but differently now, because the measure of a man wasn't what he built for himself. It was what he built for others, what he sacrificed, what he chose, who he showed up for. And Ryan had chosen, kept choosing, every Tuesday, every weekend, every middle of the night call, every hospital visit, every homework session and taco dinner and conversation about aliens. He'd chosen to be a father, not because biology demanded it, but because love did, and that made all the difference. If this story moved you, subscribe, comment below, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Your thoughts inspire others.